Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so what I'm also gonna do, also after the service is over, I'm gonna make an announcement about those flowers in the back too. So all those flowers, you guys need to go to the bathroom, water, stuff like that before we get started. We can start to kind of gather people, it looks like people are just like a little bit late, so I'm probably just gonna get them 5 minutes. Okay, we're on your pace, just to make sure people in the parking lot can get in and get set. Okay? Be right back, I'll get you some water, some tissues and wine. Pardon?
I'll get this podium.
Oh. This one, that's on volume. Might just switch over in just a second here. Just get everything. Wait a second. We got some time. Hi, folks. I want to thank you for being here for Maria and her family today. We'll get started in just a minute here, but before we do, we have the opportunity to pull out our cell phones and put them on silent so we can proceed uninterrupted today. And again, thank you all for being here and for the folks online as well. We do appreciate your presence here today. In just a moment, again, we'll be starting with the service. Elder Brian will be leading us today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I know that it has to mean so much to the family that you're all here, and I'm always able to learn a lot about a person's story. Number one, by hearing the music that was played ahead of time, but number two is by going around and seeing all these incredible pictures and the slideshow we saw. And it's always interesting to me to see a person smile. I think in every picture I saw, Maria's the kind of person that her eyes smiled with the rest of her face, and that says a lot about her. I think as we get older, it's very common for us to start to ask ourselves some of the bigger questions of life. And one of those questions is, did my life matter? Did it make any difference with the people that I tried to love and the people that loved me back? Did it matter at all? And this may surprise Maria even to know how much it mattered. I can tell by just the raw emotion in the room. Nobody wants to be here today. I want to thank Brittany, did such a phenomenal job. I just asked her, tell me the story. Tell me her story as much as you can. And I know from talking to her that this is a shock. This is totally unexpected. And on top of everything that's going on in the last year with COVID and all the things that have happened, losing someone on top of that is so much harder. And losing someone suddenly, everything that you've ever heard about grief or how to manage the loss of someone, you can magnify that times 10 when you lose someone unexpectedly like this. So thank you for being here. It means more than you can possibly know. And I know that you're able to stick around afterwards to be together, continue to tell stories. All those things are so much part of the healing process. You know, I am a firm believer that every life is a story that deserves to be told. And that's why we're here today. We are here today to mourn the loss of someone that you all cared very much about, but we're also here to celebrate the life of someone who did it very well. And that's why we're here today. I'm a big believer in something that I call holy collisions. And what I mean by that is that if you think back over the course of your life, there are a few people that you met at exactly the right time in your life. You met the right person for exactly the right reason. Many of you are probably sitting next to one or more of your holy collisions right now. And you go back and you think about, where did you meet that first time? Why did you strike up a conversation? What did you see that made you want to turn that into a friendship or a significant relationship? And there's no doubt that you're here today because somewhere along the crazy thing we call life, your circle and Maria's circle have intersected somehow. And I think I can, from just hearing and listening and seeing, I think we would all agree that whenever your holy collision happened with Maria, your life is better because of it. And that's why we're here. I mean, whenever I had the privilege to do a service like this, and please know that it is truly an honor. I consider this group in this room right now on this day, we are our own holy collision. There's really no reason to explain why this group of human beings is in the same place other than your connection to Maria. And be honest, when all of us parked our cars a little while ago in the parking lot, we all have things that we're worried about in our own lives. Things that we have anxiety about, things we're worried about, things that are going to face us here in a little while when we leave. But for the next few minutes, we're going to call time out on all that, because I think we have something very valuable to learn from the way that Maria lived her story. And my goal, and I think the goal of the family, is that when we leave here in a few minutes, we're going to be better than we were when we came in simply because of Maria's story. You know, there's a short scripture that I want to share. A couple thousand years ago, Jesus was talking to some people that had just gone through a loss, and he said these words: "Do not let your heart be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me." I'll be honest, during my adult lifetime, there have been times when that trust has been shaken. And I had the privilege to talk with Maria's mom here a little bit ago, and you want to trust, but doggone it, this wasn't supposed to happen. And it shakes you. And it makes you, and it's not that you doubt, but doggone it, that's hard. And I know that from hearing from Brittany that Maria was a spiritual person, not a religious person, but a spiritual person. And I'm a believer that the part that made her who she was is not gone. And nobody really knows what that looks like, but I absolutely believe with everything that I am as a human being that is true. And I know the family believes that is true. So we can hold on to that hope that somewhere, somehow, you're going to be able to see her again. But that doesn't mean that today doesn't suck. Let's be honest. And sometimes the biggest thing you can do is let yourself grieve. It's okay. It's not your job to make anybody else feel better about this, because this is hard. And one of the most powerful things you can do to heal is to bond together with this holy collision that is in this room right now. You know, a lot of people will tell you that grief comes in stages, and then you get to the end of the stages and you're done. And I don't believe that that's true at all. Grief is messy. And the only thing that I've learned about grief is there's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's just your way to grieve. But grief has an evil twin. And the evil twin of grief is change. That's the hard part about this, because life is different today than it was just 2 weeks ago. And it's adjusting to the change that makes it so hard. You know, let's all be honest, 46 is just not old enough. Not old enough at all. I did not have the privilege to know her, but for the next couple minutes, we're going to hear from somebody who did. And so I'm going to ask Marty, he's been gracious enough to come up and share some thoughts from his relationship with her. So Marty, go ahead and come on up.
Hello. I can't believe I'm doing this. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Marty. Maria is my best friend. Let me tell you about my Maria. My girl, that's how I referenced her. Actually, that's how I reference all my friends. I was lucky. Maria had the ability to walk into a room and people would just gravitate towards her like a magnet. I was the envy of many guys. I would hear people say, there goes Marty with his beautiful girls. We were always laughing and giggling like a couple of teenagers, whether it's riding scooters downtown, attending a Taylor Swift concert, or having drinks in an alley bar in Old San Juan. I can honestly say that I was happy when I spent time with Maria. Every day was an adventure. Maria lived life to the fullest. She traveled all over the world. She taught me about foreign foods. Have you ever tried blood sausage or jackfruit? I have. She introduced me to her friends. She let me be myself, silly. Except she didn't let me drink coffee. She actually forbid me to drink coffee. Looking back at our lives, we were so happy. I was so lucky. I had someone who made me so happy and I knew loved me for 5 years. What an amazing feeling. My only regret is not telling her how much she meant to me. For those of you who are taking your friends for granted, take it from me. Tell them you love them, give them a hug. Maria and I weren't affectionate towards one another. I wish we were. I want to thank Maria's family for being so supportive. Just know Maria was happy. I made sure of it.
I just wanted to read a quick quote that I came across while just reading and making myself comfortable. It's from Rumi, 13th poet, and it says, "Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with heart and soul, there's no such thing as separation." Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Marty, thank you. Both of you, thank you. I mean, we talked beforehand, and you were going to speak from your heart, and that's exactly what you did. And I don't think anybody from a friend could have anything better said than for you to sum up your friendship the way that you did. And again, all of Brittany's thoughts and the family's thoughts, I'm going to try to share some of those. But the hard part about playing a service like today, we could stay here for 2 days and not tell enough Maria stories. You know, the real healing only starts about the time that all these flowers start to die, to be quite honest with you. Because right now, it's almost numbing. There's so much to do. There's so many decisions to make. And if there's one thing that I want to encourage all of you, friends, family, this community, don't vanish. You know, don't leave. Because you may have a story, even if you didn't talk today, you might have a story that the family needs to hear. So today, with all of our technologies, whether it's through a text or Facebook or social media of some other kind, in the days ahead, you know, the months ahead, if you have a little snippet, put it down on paper and make sure that the family gets it somehow. You may be going through old pictures on your phone, and you may run across something that no one else has. I lost my mom 14 years ago, and just this last month, somebody sent me a picture I had never seen before. That's part of the healing process. So if that happens down the road, make sure that you don't hold on to that, because all those little puzzle pieces are what it's going to take to help get the family through this. You know, to me, there's a big difference between being a human being and a human doing. And in our culture, we put a lot of emphasis on what it means to be a good human doing. If you and I were to meet for the first time over coffee, we would probably ask each other in the first 90 seconds, what do you do? Because we attach a lot of our identity to whatever we do professionally. And I understand that Maria was a great human doing. She was good at her career. She took her education and her work and her life and her relationships in her work very, very seriously in everything that she did. And she knocked it out of the park as a human doer. But what I heard more and more from everybody, and I see them in these pictures, and I can hear it in what Marty just said, is that she was even more of a magnificent human being. You know, I asked Brittany, what are some words that would pop into your head when you think of Maria? She said adventurous. And a lot of these pictures, she squeezed a lot of life into her 46 years by being able to go on so many trips. Incredibly outgoing, intelligent, creative. One word that I loved hearing was she had a deep maternal instinct. You know, out of the three kids, she was the oldest, and so she was able to bring some of those skills out to her sister and nephews and nieces, and all of those people got to experience that part of who she was. We also talked about, you know, I think we learn a lot about a person by watching how they maneuver life, the ups and downs. And so I asked Brittany, you know, as you watched your sister deal with some of the harder times of life, what did you learn from her? What were the life lessons she taught just by living her life? And I want to read to you what she said. She said she would focus on the things that mattered. She just had this way of picking through the battles that she wanted to choose and focusing in on the things in her life that really meant the most. And she did face some rough times in her life, but it made her stronger. And I think that's fascinating to me, because you've probably known two people that can experience the same kind of life, but choose to face it in completely different ways. And the thing that I was most inspired by hearing Maria's story is she made a choice. All those smiles, the friendships, the relationships, the trips, the everything that made her who she was, that's a choice she made somewhere along the line, that I'm going to grab this life by all that it is. And that very thing alone says a lot about who she is and who she was as a person. You know, I believe that in this lifetime we are born one time, but we die two times. First time we die is a physical death, and it has happened at a way too young of an age. But let's be honest, it's going to happen to every one of us in this room. We don't know where, when, how. It's going to happen. But the second time we die, in my opinion, is much more tragic. Because the second time we die is the last time anybody ever says our name out loud. It's the last time anybody ever tells a Maria story. And it's up to this group to make sure that she never dies that second death. To future family members, to future friends, continue to tell Maria's stories. You know, one of the only blessings in a really hard time like this is somebody had to go through all the old shoe boxes and photo albums and get these pictures out. And pictures are powerful as far as the healing process goes. You know, I have 3 sons and I worry about them because all their pictures are on a phone somewhere. And there's something really powerful about holding a picture in your hand. And my encouragement is, in the days ahead, don't be too quick to put them away. Keep them close. I want to share a reading that I hope fits the vibrancy that Maria faced her life with. One of the most powerful things I've ever run across. And as I heard about Maria's story, I hope this fits the kind of way that she lived her life. It's part of a speech that Anna Quinlan gave to a group of graduates at Villanova University one afternoon. And I hope that this speaks to the way that Maria lived her life. To the group of graduates, she said, "You walk out of here today with the only one thing that no one else has. There will be hundreds of people out there with your same degree. There will be thousands of people that do what you do for a living. But you will be the only person alive who has sole custody of your life, your particular life, your entire life. Not just your life at a desk or your life on a bus or in a car or at the computer. Not just the life of your mind, but the life of your heart. Not just your bank account, but your soul. People these days don't talk about the soul very much anymore because it's a lot easier to write a resume than it is to craft a spirit. But a resume is a cold comfort on a winter night or when you're sad or broke or lonely or when you've gotten back the test results and they're not so good. So she said, here's my resume. I try to be a good friend to my friends, and they are to me. Without them, there would be nothing to say to you today because I would be a cardboard cutout. But I call them on the phone when I can. I meet them for lunch. I show up, I listen, and I try to laugh. I try to be a good daughter and a good sister. I try not to let my profession stand in the way of being a good person. I no longer consider myself the center of the universe. I show up, I listen, and I try to laugh. She said, I would be rotten or at best mediocre at my work if those other things were not true, because you cannot really be first rate at your work if your work is all you are. So here's what I wanted to tell you today. And maybe if Maria had the chance, here's what she would tell all of us. Get a life. Get a real life. Not just the manic pursuit of the next promotion or a bigger paycheck or a larger house. Do you think you'd care so very much about those things if you blew an aneurysm one afternoon or if you found a lump in your breast? Get a life in which you're not alone. Find people that you can love and people that will love you back. And remember that love is not leisure. It is really hard work. So pick up the phone. Send an email. Write a letter. Kiss your mom. Hug your dad. Get a life in which you are generous and realize that life is the best thing ever and we have no business taking it for granted. She said, I learned this many years ago because something really, really bad happened to me, something that if I had a choice would have never happened at all, but it has taught me the biggest lesson of my life. I learned to love the journey and not the destination. And I learned that life is not a dress rehearsal. Today is really the only guarantee that we get. And I try to do that by telling everybody that I meet this advice. Consider the lilies of the field. Take the time to look at the fuzz on the back of a baby's ear. Read a book in the backyard with the sun shining in your face and learn to be happy and think of life as a terminal illness because if you do, you will live it with joy and passion as it ought to be lived. It sounds like everybody that had the opportunity to have a holy collision with Maria can honestly say my life is better because of the time that I got to spend with her. And that's her legacy. Wouldn't that be what all of us would want said of us? And that's why when we leave here today, the biggest way that you can show respect and honor for your relationship of this beautiful lady is to live here and have just a shred of that in your own life. It is truly an honor to be able to be with you here today. I hope that you can stay in a little while. There's going to be a reception, but please stay and share your hugs, share your stories with the family. Because I know that it means a lot that you're all here today. So if you're comfortable, I'd like to ask you if you would to bow with me for a word of prayer, and then we'll be done. Okay? God, as you look down in this room, I am sure that you see a dozen different emotions. And I believe that you're big enough to handle all those, whether it be doubt or confusion or anger or brokenness or whatever it is. You have promised when life gets difficult that you'll figure out ways to able to bring us peace and comfort. And that's my prayer for the family. After the dust settles from all that's happened here in the last week or two, God, I pray that, first of all, thank you so much for the strong relationships that are in this room. So many families don't have this. So I pray, God, that you'll deepen those. And thank you so much for the story you wrote through Maria's life. Our prayer is that you have received her into a place that the rest of us can only imagine. But God, I pray that because of her life and the way that she lived this, each one of us will be able to hug the people in our lives a little closer, to live each day with a little bit more energy. It's in your son's name I pray all these things. Amen.
Thank you, Brian. This does conclude Maria's service here today. But before we go our separate ways, please remember that we are going to have some food and beverages for folks, so you're all welcome to stay here, feel comfortable doing so. Before you do go today, I'd like to invite you to If you want to take a look at the back of the room there, we have those beautiful pink roses. Please take those on your way out in memory of Maria. Use them as a keepsake so you can keep a part of her forever. Again, thank you all for being here today. This does conclude the service.
You're living. Thank you for coming. She couldn't pick up first.
Doing good. She's like, you know, this is like I was wondering. Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Your kids do things on your phone. Yeah, but if you're I'm so old or I'm so old or
They send me all this stuff. I'm just like,
They're a little bit. My daughter does. She starts making it and like shows suggestions. So she's all on
Yes, yes. Other boy. Yeah. I just I have a function that it's my own generation.
I respected that he normally they were and it's like they have housing there. Just quarantine. Yes, I know you're gonna be awesome. Oh, wow. And these are the kind of pictures that we can make. This is so now it's making sense. Was it just on your Facebook page or did she create one? It's Maria's Memorial. I didn't even see that. It's on her other website. Find that. This is gonna be so cool. This is what they're planting. Cherry trees, so these will be all around here. Waynesville's right up the street. It's like another suburb, not too far. Maybe it's a little bit further
Well, I haven't had one, we're having it.
Great job.
Oh my God, yes. Do you freeze?
I'll send you my thing. I'll get it. Yeah, yeah. It's just like people just want to Here he is. Here.
Faces of the grocery store you see more often than you see.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay,
Keep an eye on it.
I'll link that Facebook link so that they I
One guy.
If you're probably your kids, if you're grandchildren.
Yeah. Right outside Winterville over the bridge, right?
Yeah, but there's a small road.
There's one in particular where I was seeing that's how my wife just took the babies.
And the lady was just
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
What's that?
I can see it.
I remember that. That was,
What was that, a baby shower or something?
you weren't there. You, I don't know why.
I remember playing it.
It was,
I feel like I was there.
Cause he just turned 2, right? Yeah, he just turned 2. It probably was.
you weren't there.
I know.
Take them in and I'll come out one round.
It's something like keep it.
That's it.
I know actually. We passed
Yeah, that's it.
the guys at Birds, like where we were and it was just pretty visionary.
I'm not ready to take this off. But if I put two copies of the yeah, someone takes, I'll make this really wrong. See what they're doing.
Let me know your first name.
This looks like Alvin.
Yes, she does. She was telling me there's a picture of her in somewhere. I was like, is that right? And getting some pictures of her like sent over today to her. No, there's one where she's really little. She's given everything. She's like, the only picture that she just was smiling and she's just throwing out to the Taldo to say everything. I'm like, what you guys thought? No, it's not. All right. She's not super smiling. She's hilarious.
I love it.
I'm like, I don't take like.
So these will be the Machino cherry trees. She always talked about being upset that she went to Washington DC
Oh my God.
and there was nothing.
So so I was with her on that trip and I'm like, Maria, get a picture of this tree. And so I was smelling what I thought was a blossom, was a cherry blossom, and it was actually a magnolia tree. That I thought we both thought it was a cherry blossom tree. And I was standing there, and I was like, "Oh my God, what a beautiful cherry blossom tree!" And this Asian man walks along, and goes, "No, no, 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 magnolia, no cherry blossom." And Maria and I, oh my God, idiots. So yes.
So that's there with that. And then he's
Melanie, there you are. Oh, there. That's what we went hiking. Oh, that was a crunch. That was at the Juniper place.
So this is the Yoshino cherries, the cherry trees that we go with. And the nice thing is they'll bloom in the spring and bloom in the fall.
Oh, shoot.
And then we'll have these two red buds in there, and a walk path, and a 50-foot diameter pavement patio, kind of, with some benches.
Yeah.
You know, the road is down front here, so
Wow, that's beautiful.
slightly tiered.
Designed those?
Brittany gave the verbal idea to Burns Landscaping and to two other landscaping companies. And Burns came back with this, you know, and daisies and but things that she talked about that we had home and dating and food and other things.
Now, will there be a headstone or a stone?
She's going to be clean. And she will become part of
The earth?
the earth and one of the trees.
Yeah. 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 I think we got there just a little too early for the cherry blossoms. We missed it.
So, actually the drive will be back up here. Or people can park in the service entrance area down below. The gate to the private part of the property will be further back up there.
Okay. Wow. And this is Corwin Road. Wait.
4800 Corwin Road is the address we have to use because that's a property that has a piece in the middle.
So if I wanted to go visit this at least I could.
And the address now is 5020 Corwin Road. The address yesterday.
God, that's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
Is this stone?
Yep. Those will be. They're going to tier some of that in.
Oh, that's Misha's girl.
This is the trail down the hill that they were clearing out. We'll have gravel all the way up to here. But then it's down through the woods. It's cold out here. No, it's just water that leads to the four-wheel. But here's where things really change.
Oh, I see. Wow, yeah.
We go down here. We intend to harvest a lot of the dead wood and it's not rocking, so it's across the driveway.
Now, will you and your wife have a house in the property? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I'll just put it down. But here's the deal. Oh, no, they already.
Wow.
We're gonna go downhill here. Yeah, it was something to get up there on foot until we get the road and pull those in. This is the road. It's turning here. Clearing down below. And actually, the building will go by these streets. And then Maria's. One thing that you do is
And all that property is owned by, wow.
the sold pharmacy business, the pharmacy business. And looking for property, I came across this all of a sudden. Bought it. I was trying to build another pharmacy business down in Florida.
Whoa.
So,
Are they gonna move?
no, no. I mean, use the money from that for investments, start a new business, involved in real estate development in Delaware now. So,
It's a fusion pharmacy.
a lot of people now require IV medication treatments once a week.
Oh, my sister gets infused.
So,
Infusion.
so what they do is they have a pharmacy, they compound it, put it in the IV bags. Medicare pays for those kinds of treatments in the home because it's much less expensive than
We have our infusion clinic.
They were supplying hospitals here,
Okay.
but when he got bought out, he said, well, give us this much, I'll sign a non-compete clause.
So is his background in science?
No, it's in business. But he was in sales and he was doing this for somebody else. There's a basket that we were going to use called kids.
So how old was Maria when you met?
So,
7, okay.
yep.
He was much better. How old is he now?
The last time you called me,
8.
2:30.
That picture there was where we were at target shooting on the property. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she really blessed my life.
You know, when I lost her semen, she touched everyone's lives.
I think her resilience is a fact that came from one, her parent, not her mom, and the fact that we were always moving around. We would move from the Philippines, Texas, in a house for a year, we moved to another house on base. 2 years later, we went back to the Philippines. So there was lots of changes, and there was forced reconnection with people and making friends and being open and trying new things.
Well, she certainly,
She was
yes,
into that.
yes.
I mean, I remember my mom flew to the Philippines in September of '87. She was there for 2 months. I took time off every weekend here on a bus going somewhere in the Philippines, to learn and as a family and show my mom around the countryside. And all that.
So I'm not, so why did you have to be evacuated in 91?
Mount Pinatubo, the volcano.
I don't even,
Oh,
wow.
yeah, I remember Maria telling me that story.
Wow.
The American scientists from the U.S. Geological Survey and the Filipino volcanologists from Philbox determined that an earthquake in 1990 opened the mountain and allowed a lava dome to begin to build 9 miles from the airbase. And over the year, it started steaming and smoking. And then they said, this thing's gonna blow. We're moving it over. And it took us 50 miles away to Civic Bay Naval Base, where there was also a naval air station that could evacuate us by air or could evacuate us by ship. June 12th, they came to us and said, anybody who wants to go back and get more clothing or personal belongings, sign up. We take it back, and they took us back on a bus because when we evacuated. pictures, all our important documents. Got them out on the US mail boat before everything blew up. So we had like 2 days worth of clothes. Mara was washing underwear every night.
Oh, God, with 3 kids.
With 3 kids. So Maria and I, she was oldest, we went back with suitcases to grab more clothes. And we had the safety briefing and all this other stuff. And about 5 minutes after we went into the house, the sirens went off. Yeah, I told her, open up the window, set the sirens. And she opens up the back window. Yeah. We look up in the
And you
sky.
could see the
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow.
It was scary as hell. And we said, that's it. Close the suitcases with what we had in them. We're running down the street to the pickup point.
My God.
With, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 more days worth of clothing. That was it. And so they took us back. They took us the opposite direction, 50 miles, to another extinct volcano. And we were there for 12 to 16 hours before the buses finally.
Was your plan to stay in the Philippines?
No, we had already, the US government had already said that I could not stay there any longer. I had to leave. So
Time for you to go now.
2 months, a month and a half before this erupted, I took the car down to Civic Bay. We shipped our car back. They had come to our house and picked up our major household goods. So really, we were kind of just waiting to leave anyway. But it forced us to leave faster. And then we left from Clark, we went down to Subic. From Subic, we went to Cebu. From Cebu, they flew us to Guam. From Guam, they flew us to where America's day really begins, Wake Island. So, and from Wake Island, we flew to Washington State to McCord Air Force Base.
How many years do you have in the service?
I did 24.
24.
But I started working for them as a civilian
Really?
19 years ago, too.
Wow.
So I've been around there a while.
You miss it?
No, not now, not with the war and, you know, that's a whole different, it's a whole different thing. I was actually in the Philippines during the first Gulf War.
Maria's my side texter now.
I know.
But I go to work on base every day now. In a civilian status, and I've been there for 19 years.
At Red Hat?
Yeah. So no, I don't miss it because I'm still there, but I'm there as a civilian now, I'm not as a military guy.
Did you know Paul Taylor? He lived, well, they lived here in Centerville, but he worked at Red Hat for years and then he retired. He was married to my cousin.
I may have come across him, but there are 23,000 plus civilians that are employed at Wright Pat. And I only see the ones that are in trying to get a job or in top secret civilian positions that have to be monitored regularly. So, because I do the drug testing stuff.
Oh.
So, yeah, not all of them get drug tested, but the ones that are in top secret positions have access to highly classified information. Yeah, they're in a special monitoring tool, and I just punch a button on the computer and it tells me these are the 50 people who need to get in here today. The nice thing is that's the hardest part of the job because I don't see a lot of positives involved. They know what they know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Security clearance is gone. You can't get work for a contractor if you get released from that. And so, yeah, Paul Taylor, doesn't mean this to know.
You live in, where do you live in Centerville?
No, we live in Riverside.
Okay. I have enough of those in Centerville too. Works at Wright State University.
Yeah.
Where are they playing right here?
That's at Brittany and Aaron's on the coffee table in the living room.
What game was that?
It's that gambling game. I didn't play it.
I don't really know what it was.
And this where she almost burned her eye. Or I almost burned her eye.
Oh, really?
I think you were there.
All right, it's pretty hard.
I definitely heard about it.
Yeah.
High school, best friend.
All right. You guys, are you going back to Kelsey?
Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
Family in Town, California.
It's horrible. Motion sickness. I remember, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know. So, motion said, it's the change for the time it was a horse.
Watching the pictures and
Even
it'll scroll
I
and
look at
everything.
that, I think I lost 20 pounds in the years, and I did nothing but throw.
Yeah. A friend of mine has. My other friend, Rachel, got married. Met this guy's got this huge yacht there in Boston. She's like, come out to Boston. And stay on the boat. I was like, no, I stay all the time. She's like, this boat's really big. You want to do it? So, someone there.
Yeah. She was just asking.
Did you
if
wreck
it
the
was-
boat?
His calls anymore.
And thankfully it was dogs.
Kind of
So I didn't miss it. It
Oh,
was
God.
wide.
That's even worse.
It was fine.
Oh, you were good?
I was fine. I was fine.
Good.
But, oh yeah.
He asked for a service.
Even when I'm doing those at the break roads.
Me
If
too.
somebody messes with my chair at work, with the lever going up and down, that'll instantly put me out.
Do you ever get everything?
Yeah. Oh,
Me
yeah.
too.
I have stuff in the car. I have stuff in work.
My purse.
I keep it with me.
That's the thing.
Yes, that's the best one. It's the best one.
My doctor told me, go, just in case you get out of it, you can't, you're on vacation or something, dream of me.
Oh no, that makes me drowsy.
Yes, but that's the point.
Never. Never go on a plane that lands in the ocean.
Oh, I've done that.
I got so sick on that because the water's like next to the window. You're like,
Don't jump out of an airplane.
really?
Oh, I was fine until the thing wrote the sheet there, she goes.
Yeah.
And then you just go like that.
Oh.
I was so sick by the time my feet hit that thing. I was so happy to see kissing my earth.
I think so.
Friends wanted to go deep sea fishing.
Oh, I've done that.
I'm taking my necklace. I still got sick. And I'm looking at the distance. I'm like, I can swim that far. I
Can make it.
can make it. I see the lights of the beach. I can do it. I'm thinking about something. So bad.
That's a curse.
It's so bad. Once I get sick, that's it. I'll take me. I have to sleep for 24 hours.
Kelsey, on the roads is we get.
And I was driving.
I just ended it right now. I had to go.
That's fun. Yeah, somebody messes with my chair.
I'm gonna take it in.
I start yelling at them and everything. Oh, you gotta do that again. They're like, dude, calm down. I'm like, don't do that. Don't mess with my chair.
I will walk up behind people and
Oh,
lever and
yes.
drop to the ground.
That
do it in
sense it.
Texas.
Oh my gosh. It gets me so sick. Oh, I never in the office.
So some people, if you ever think yourself in a position where you have collections from Ohio coming after you, your letter will be letter sent in by Marty. Yeah, there's.
So they're not soaked?
This is the
Not so greatly impacted.
Can you tell me my secrets?
If you want to, you can do more. You can send money.
Just to make it, well, I don't have any work right now.
To get without
What I'm
whole
doing.
numbers. So then go
You
back.
gotta have these procedures.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I didn't
She
know.
wants to like get it set up.
You know, some training.
I didn't pay attention.
Like policies and things.
Yes. 9:30, maybe a one.
I know what's awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah, oh my God, yeah. It's taking me.
So it takes your, and you tell us your.
And it's a whole new system too. Oh, that's what I've been, it's just like, just the other day, it's like, what did you do your receipt? So I sent them, like, what did you want to mark? She was like, no, it's good. So she, you know, she, yeah.
Oh, on the Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
That
page,
page,
you
yeah.
There's nobody.
That's what I want.
You know, Mary.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's why we're creating the Facebook. Oh, no, you don't.
No, I live in Columbus. No, but she works here.
She works at one of the televisions.
Mary?
Yeah.
I've never heard of her. I've talked to her.
Really?
She works at.
Yeah, that's what you are.
Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't even look at that.
No,
Yeah.
we
You'll
took
see-
over Jake.
You'll see that. To get ready to retire, that much I know. I think they're.
You know where she works?
Somewhere out east, but I don't know.
She's like at a branch.
Yeah.
I think I took that picture.
That was in Hawaii.
Because that's so funny because she, when we went to Sedona, she had bananas in the bathroom too.
She loves bananas in the bathroom.
I'm so real.
I'm just like, oh my God, that's so funny.
That was our Nashville trip that we were.
I know.
Like those, my wife Carrie. Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Ricky Martin?
I went like this.
No, he's gone over there. So it's just-
Oh, she's got over here.
Yeah.
I was
Lorelai.
like,
She lives in Florida.
I was in that.
She's in that redhead.
Sometimes.
One Christmas or Christmas party ever. She's like the only kid there. I was like, you're tall, so she's something cool. She's like, this is like my funny.
An exorcist.
Like,
Where was that?
that's it. Roscoe Village.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my God.
You told me about all the time. And they're ostrich.
Oh, yeah, this is your boat.
Nice.
You know, that's what you expect.
That's your boy, you get busy wrapped.
I remember that.
I remember that. That was awesome. I didn't close that restaurant.
They look.
Yeah.
Oh, they are
The
really
one
close?
on the top.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Remember that one?
Yes. Oh, I was making patty. I was making patty prep my shrimp for me. Really beautiful spot.
I love that picture. That's great.
It overlooks the little minor.
She loved.
Yeah, she loves it.
I got it on the up too. I was at Franklin Conservatory when I went for a
People coming with the
charity.
Oh, yeah. Why am I blurry?
That's why I love this picture because you're like not sitting still. You're like running around. So it's totally appropriate.
You're
Such a
right.
good picture.
Why am I blurry?
That's you. That's another one that I added later on. That's another one that I later added later on. So it's Marty. Yeah.
Because Marty doesn't sit still. They captured it.
I love that hat.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she has.
She looks
Her
really
and
nice.
Oh, cafe.
So she was having
That Brendan, that door locked. Remember that Christmas party? You there? That's what-
Which one? Yes.
And I got her a doll or something. She was like ripping it apart.
Well, give her-
Right. She was like tearing it apart.
You got her.
It was a doll. It was a stuffed animal. She was still like tearing it apart.
Oh, Lord.
We used to give out candy and everyone's house.
Yeah. You guys like together every single day of your lives.
Yeah, I mean, we did everything. Here, all the time.
That was
That was
Halloween.
Yeah, she went to
Marianne was pretty upset.
That's good, right?
Because we were supposed to
Yeah,
go,
that's when
she
we
moved
went
to
to the
Florida.
cigar place.
She's telling me, she has a guest house in the back. She's like, come bring the girls, bring the girls, bring
So
the girls.
that
And it's just like,
Montreal
okay,
picture,
okay,
she was
okay.
holding the sweatshirt, so I
They
could
just
take a
had a
picture
meeting
and send it to
out
my daughter.
2 weeks ago.
So she was posing.
At 105 and just now being able to, I mean, that's a.
We were staying at the farm, and my cousin would go over every day, taking breakfast and lunch. And then.
Well, look at the top.
one of the other brothers-
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing longevity.
Yeah.
Anything we can do for you? No, I'm good. Really, you got an 8-year-old, really.
He's feeling something.
This is my brother Jim.
Feels bad for me.
Say hi, folks. Yeah. All the family in town, how incredible you guys have been. If it's not family, you just
Yeah.
She was around us.
She's cute.
We talked about it. As a matter of fact, yeah. I mean, I think I might have asked her a question. Yeah.
So she didn't want to take it.
Listen,
But,
Dad, I told you.
Yeah.
It's funny, someday you might not.
I'm trying to figure out.
I've been with her
Yes.
Sometimes.
14 years.
She'd go to Vegas. She would go to Vegas. She would attend things, with towns, and then head out of town to the lake meeting, Red Rock.
So, but
Yeah, it's over.
We like to get out.
She probably wondered what it's like.